All right, guys, I'm back tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about one of the greatest V-tapers in the history of bodybuilding. That's Brian Buchanan. Brian was a sort of popular bodybuilder in the 80s and 90s. Last competed in 1998 in the Toronto Pro, I believe. Was never really tremendously popular. I think if you ask a lot of the layman bodybuilding fans, are not going to really know much about Brian Buchanan, and possibly even some hardcore guys as well. Brian was kind of under the radar a little bit. Placed relatively well in some Grand Prix, but never really got over the hump, if you will, despite his tiny waist. Whether it was he had a few weaknesses. His arms were a little thin, and probably his back, from what I understand. Now, a lot of guys with these tiny waists lack back development. I think they kind of maybe avoid lifts that will make their waist a little thicker, or they just don't do them. And unfortunately, those usually are the lifts that also give you a great back. So it's kind of a trade-off a lot of times with these guys. You see these guys with these tiny waists. There's Brian in the middle that lack, thick backs, unfortunately. So, but Brian was definitely a tremendously gifted guy in terms of aesthetics. Maybe a lot of people call him the most aesthetic bodybuilder in terms of, the tiniest waist, I should say, in the history of bodybuilding. Now, that could be debated again, but Brian definitely could pull off the vacuum, and he definitely had a incredibly tiny waist. Just crazy stuff. Brian, here's his contest results. Placed 8th and 7th at the Olympia, competed twice in the Olympia. So that's not too bad. Last time he competed was in 98. Competed all the way from 80 to 98, so 18 years he was competing. I can't find much on Brian Buchanan. This is him in 1998. Look at that waist. That is insane, man. Holy cow. I did go to Brian Buchanan's Facebook page. I don't see any posts for quite a while. Now, I don't know what that means. I heard he might be in Australia. And, other than that, I really don't know what the hell's going on with him. But, and also you can compare, here's a picture comparing him to another guy that a lot of people talk about in terms of a tiny waist. And that is Peter Molnar. Is it Molnar Peter or Peter Molnar? I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to say Peter Molnar. I see it both ways, but tiny waist, but again, not placing, maybe doing quite as well as he should because he lacks. Unfortunately, they say his back is not quite up to par with the rest of his body. So again, here we go with the tiny waist and the back that needs to be brought up. But again, Brian Buchanan, one of the top aesthetic guys in terms of tiny waist, shoulder to waist ratio. Rumors going around about a 25-inch waist on this guy. You can see his arms are a little thin from the elbow to the armpit. Could have added some thickness, but certainly a genetic freak.